and the Brewers finish up game two. It's Scotty Braun, Erik Kratz, and Kevin Pillar. We're going to first talk about the Cubs and Brewers, and then we will get to the Phillies and the Dodgers. And Kratz, you used to play for this Milwaukee team and actually had a nice little run during a time period where they thought maybe they could make the World Series. Very strong start for this team. They take down the Cubs again. They've scored 16 runs in their first two games, and now they're one win away from another National League Championship Series appearance. Your thoughts on what you're seeing so far?
The problem that the Brewers had going into the playoffs was it didn't hit enough homers. Screw that. They took care of that tonight. They're doing it in every which way. And then they're like, you know what? We had 5 days off. We're going to go ahead and do an opener. Wait, no bullpen game? Wait a minute. No, Miz is going to pitch. All the things that you would think the teams that get the breaks wouldn't do. And they did it, and they're victorious. Let's go, Brew Crew.
Yeah, and we were texting KP, Kratz and AJ and me about the decision by Milwaukee to go with Ashby as the opener. He had pitched in game one, and to let him try and feast against the top of the order for the Cubs. Cubs countered. Cubs got 3 runs off the Brewers in the first. Just like in game one, they were able to strike first, but it didn't go far. They didn't score the rest of the damn game.
They knew what they were doing, but I mean, it's obviously to kind of just at least appear that a lefty is going to go multiple innings and try to set their lineup, thin the bench out. I mean, it's kind of the new way of kind of doing it, especially when teams are kind of built off platoons. You got to kind of try to counter that in any way possible.
Okay, so first off, I want to talk about Jackson Chourio. He is battling a hamstring issue. He does not look 100%, Kevin. It helps when you can hit dingers at 21 years old, and then you don't have to worry as much about doing crazy things on the base paths. What are you seeing from him in the first couple games?
Yeah, just hit dingers and stay healthy. Obviously, them being able to close out the series as soon as possible for his health is going to be the most beneficial. Them obviously going out and scoring a ton of runs, and at some point they're going to have to make a business decision, and hopefully they have a big enough lead and they can sub him out on defense, or if he's able to get on base and bring in a pinch runner. But the great thing about being 21 is some of those things heal a little bit quicker. So hopefully it's very mild and youth is on his side. So off to a good start, off day. Hopefully they can, for his sake and for their team's sake, they can close it out as soon as possible and just give them as much rest as humanly possible.
So that was the 3-run homer, and that took this to a 7-3 game from the 4-3 lead that the Brewers had. What did you think of that sequence there, Kratz? That was 101.4, which according to Sarah Langs is the hardest pitch to hit for a home run in the postseason since they started pitch tracking in, 2008, I think she said, or maybe StatCast era. I think she meant pitch tracking, but yeah. But anyway, I mean, Palencia challenged him, I think, with 3 pitches that were over the middle quadrant, and third one, it's like, yeah, this is one of the best young hitters in the sport. Stop challenging him like that.
I mean, you have to challenge him. To me, you have to challenge him. You can't come in, Palencia can't come in and be like, gee, I wonder how I'm going to get him out. Now, if they're like, hey, you know what, we gotta throw that banger down in the zone or something. But for him to be able to get on top of that ball where it was, I think it was a little out of the zone. If not, it was top of the zone. And to be able to put it out to center field at 21, while KP said this dude is going to heal up quickly, like he's doing stuff at 21 that you're not supposed to be able to do. I just pulled up his postseason numbers. He's hitting .571 in his 2 postseasons. He's got 15 plate appearances, 8 hits, 2 dingers, a double, and he's struck out 1 time. He's 21. I mean, what are we looking at? Are we looking at Andrew Jones here? Is this what we're looking at? Just reborn? Hopefully his hamstring is fine. They brought Lockridge in. I think Murph is very aware that he's dealing with something, but he was able to go to the line and track that ball. That can kind of be tough sometimes because it comes back and make that catch in foul territory. Lockridge can come in, pinch run, and come in for defense for him. Whew, he is getting it right now.
KP, did you ever face Imanaga?
Yeah, I did. I faced him last year. Faced him last year. Yeah, he's obviously they're in the same division. You know, me facing him for the first time, it was the first at bat was obviously the most challenging. It's not elite stuff. It's very good command. There is some carry to the fastball. There's some deception to the split finger, but that's a challenge when you get lined up with a team in your division. Like, there's no real secrets anymore. Like, he doesn't necessarily have the ability to outstuff you. You know, he's so reliant on command. There's no secrets anymore. And if he's not going to command his pitches, you know, the opposing team is going to take advantage of, you know, what he has to offer.
Yeah, that was my thing, Kratz, is he's given up so many home runs for a few months now. Second half of the season, he gave up by far the most home runs in baseball. I believe 22 was the number they were showing. The next highest was like maybe 16 or 17. So did you notice anything, Kratz, that's leading to these issues consistently for him lately? I mean, every start he's given up at least a homer. And then when you're taking on what's one of the best offenses in baseball, you turn them into not just a contact hitting team, but now a power hitting team.
I saw a thing where perceived velocity at the plate, meaning what it looks like to the hitter. Ever since he came back from the IL, I forget when it was, early in the season, the life on his fastball just doesn't seem like it's there. Is it the league getting used to him? Is it the league, what KP was saying? Like, it's kind of awkward because it comes from a low slot. I remember watching him last year, and I remember when he first came into the league, guys were talking about possibly like a long relief type of guy, and other guys were saying this guy could be a number 2 in your rotation. He made the All-Star team, came on the show, had a great first year, and I don't think he ever came back from his injury fully 100%, in the sense that when you don't have, and this is, I guess, why everybody chases velocity, when you don't have the elite velocity, you don't have some kind of like freakish talent where you're stepping closer, you're throwing from higher, it's tougher to get away with mistakes, especially when your ball is flat and then boys start teeing off. They start getting on top of balls and they're not fouling them straight back, and then you're able to get to something else to strike them out. And that's what it seemed like in the second half we were seeing from him.
Which actually brings me to a guy who hit a 3-run home run off Imanaga, Andrew Vaughn, because if I recall, KP, you did spend some time with Andrew Vaughn, and he got the gift of his life by getting picked up by the Milwaukee Brewers after toiling in the minor leagues at one point this season with the White Sox. He's picked up by a team that is really good at finding players and making the best out of them, right? I think they're the best team to do that in the National League, maybe I would say these days, right? The Rays have gotten a lot of credit on the pitching side. Dodgers is a good point. That's true. But it's hard to find playing time with them. With Milwaukee, they actually needed him in July, and he came up big, and he's still coming up big. He played great defensively too, but what was that, a 7-pitch AB, and then gets that cutter. I'm looking at it again right now, that kind of hung across the middle of the plate and hit the 3-run jack.
I just love what Murph kind of said about him, because I think it's just a great thing for people to understand, whether you're minor league player, you're a fringe major leaguer, even younger than that. Like, this game is going to humble you at some point. I mean, this kid was the, second or third overall pick, got off to a pretty good start in his career, was really never super challenged in Chicago in terms of guys coming up to kind of take his position. You know, he had some bad years, and finally they said we had enough with him, and he went to the minor leagues, and he could have, packed it in. He could have cashed it in. He continued to work. He continued to develop. He made some mechanical and some mental changes, and he ultimately got his opportunity through an injury. And sometimes you just need that good fortune. You need that opportunity. You need a break. And he not only got that opportunity, but ran with it. And, he's been a big part of their success since he's been up. He's been able to not only hit in that middle of the lineup and bring some power and some stability. He plays great first base too.
I played with Vaughn soon after he got drafted with Team USA, and a very quiet guy. Came on the show with us earlier. Quiet guy. So it's not like this guy's like all of a sudden going to Milwaukee and there's a secret sauce that Milwaukee has compared to the White Sox. But from what I've heard, because I've only been in the Milwaukee organization, and that clubhouse and talking to the front office, they let you be you, but they let you be you as a winning player. Some places are like, hey, I just want to let my players be who they are, and you get nothing out of them. But they let you be you as long as you buy into the fact that, you know what? You might only be here for a little while until Rhys Hoskins comes back. But we're going to give you every opportunity. Here's what we think you can do. Go out and do it your way. I mean, the dude became King Vaughn in Milwaukee. Like, this is a very quiet person who has a lot of potential, has a lot of power, but with the White Sox, he was never really challenged to dig deep into his power. It was like, hey, you got elite back to ball skills. Okay, go out and do that baseball thing. And it was just a bad environment because you see so many guys now from those White Sox teams that are playing for these playoff teams, pitchers, Andrew Vaughn, like relievers, starters. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes some of these players, like the Andrew Vaughns, the Gavin Sheets, like, you know, analytically they have a lot to offer. Like, they have a certain skill set, but maybe one of their greatest attributes is they're just winning baseball players. And when you're not in a winning environment, like, your best version of yourself cannot come out. I feel very similar to that. Like, my greatest qualities is helping a team win. Like, individually, my skills are just okay. You know, if you put me on a bad team, I'm just an average player. But if you put me on a good team, I'm elevated because my skill set is elevated when I'm in a winning culture. I do the little things to help you win games that, you know, allow you to be your best version of yourself. And I think that's what you're seeing with Andrew Vaughn.
Yeah. How about the fact that you have young guys on the Brewers team too that can be who they are? And it's, hey, you know what? You have success even when you have failures. Pat Murphy will call you out. No better example than the Miz. Mizorowski comes in, maybe not even a shoe-in for the roster to be on this NLDS roster. You need guys that are going to be able to give you length or shut the game down in one inning. He wasn't throwing strikes. He was kind of disconnected from his role. Am I a starter? No. They tried him in the bullpen. It didn't go very well at the end of the year. And you need guys that throw strikes. The Miz comes in this game and gives the Brewers, if they didn't need another weapon, it gives them another weapon. Maybe this was Miz's game, but it's something that, KP, you've seen it. If there's a reliever or even a bulk guy that comes in the game late and is not throwing strikes, big league hitters just feast on it. They just say, you know what, I'm not swinging. And I think for me, the at-bat that swung it for the Miz, and he had a walk after this, but it was the Dansby Swanson at-bat. Dansby Swanson, I think there was one out, and Dansby came up, and it was kind of like he was spraying some balls all over the place, and then Dansby came up, and he went, strike one, strike two. And Dansby was like, come on, bro. Like, you're supposed to be a 4 balls before 3 guy. And
yeah, I mean,
I saw it shift.
Yeah, there's no better way sometimes to just get back into a game, even if it's lopsided. You know, much like the game that I was doing in Toronto the other day, like it was 11-0 or 13-0, but they kind of went to that, you know, other part of their bullpen to just kind of get outs and eat up innings. And the Yankees ended up scoring 7 runs in that game, and some of it came off of walks, but it was also sometimes as a player when nothing is going right collectively or individually, you just need one little thing to build your confidence. And sometimes even when a guy like The Miz comes in and doesn't throw strikes and you can just reach first base, there's kind of this sigh of relief. Everything is so magnified in a playoff game. So if he comes in and doesn't do what he's supposed to do and he's just spraying the ball over the place, and even if they go out and win this game, like there is confidence that could be built from all these hitters, you know, to take into game 3.
Dude showed us some 104 and change. I mean, come on. 3 shutout innings, a hit, 4 punchies, yes, 2 walks, 12 pitches that were clocked at 102 plus. I mean, that is fun. And if you're a more casual baseball fan and you tune in for that, you're like, okay, I see you, MLB. These guys are ridiculous. He's a big dude. He took the league by storm and then went through a lot of adversity. like Kratz said. And look at him now. He looks like he could be a big weapon for the Brew Crew if he can continue to find the strike zone enough, the effectively wild fastball. So let's finish with this. Kratz, you first. Do the Cubs have a chance? Seiya Suzuki showed some life for the team. First inning, big, 440-foot home run off a changeup, middle up. And you're like, okay, maybe the Cubs are going to show up with some power here. That's where they should have an advantage. They should be able to keep up with this team defensively. I think that there is definitely a clear-cut difference in pitching that we've been seeing the first couple games. But the Cubs come back if what?
Kyle Tucker carries this team, and Seiya stays hot. Seiya's like, you have to get exactly what Seiya did tonight. I think he had 5 homers in his last 4 games going into the postseason. Then he went 6 homers in the last 5 games after he hit that homer in the wild card. Like, he's kind of been hot. He's been hitting dingers, but you need Kyle Tucker. Sorry. It's a lot to put on a guy that's been out, but you need Kyle Tucker.
KP, any chance the Cubs come back?
Not from what I had seen, but they do have Kyle Tucker. He's one of the best players in the world. He's good enough to kind of win games on his own. And obviously kind of going back home, if Wrigley can kind of create this environment that the Cubs need to go out and score. They need to not let the Brewers score. They need to score first, and then they also need to put up another 0 and then just kind of allow this energy, which Wrigley's going to be rocking, to kind of just potentially carry them to a victory. And then I always say, when you're up 2-0 in a series, when you're the team that's up, you got to put the team away, because all the pressure is obviously on the Cubs to go out and win. If they don't win, their season's over. The Cubs win, I think that pressure kind of gets pushed back on Milwaukee a little bit, because the last thing you want to do is go to a game 5 because anything happens. So, if you're the Brewers, you got to kind of have this step on their neck mentality. And obviously the Cubs are going to be playing with, desperation. But I think they need to score first. They need to put up a 0 after that. And then they need to let that home field advantage kind of take over.
Yeah, we'll see if the power shows up for the Cubs at Wrigley. The problem is right now, the Brewers are showing us power that does not represent a team that ranked 22nd in the league in that category. And I would imagine Quinn Priester is lined up for game 3 for the Brewers. And you can
over.
What?
Lock.
You think it's done?
He doesn't ever lose, does he?
No.
19 straight going into the end of the season. No, he doesn't win all of them himself. The boys pick him up.
He doesn't lose them.
He doesn't lose. W's.
Yeah, they said bullpen game today, and then we want Priester for game 3, and it might work out beautifully for them. If not, then okay, we could have ourselves a series. They thought that Brendan Woodruff would be their game 2 starter, and he's not around at least for this round. We'll keep an eye on him, but we will get to the Phillies and the Dodgers series. We're going to find out who the Brewers are going to face. We might have ourselves a 2018 NLCS rematch. We'll swing right back and talk about that one. FT fam, another reason why you should love Arena Club is the grading system. So you recently pulled a slab pack, and then you said, hey, it's not graded. Grade it for me. They gave you an 8.5 out of 10 on your auto Whitey Ford card. And then they show you all the details of the grading system. It's very interactive within the app. And then you're done. If you want to sell the card or you want to know what it's worth, you've got it.
It's like getting taken to school on cards. And I think that's the coolest part of it. If you're young or old, you understand, hey, this is how it gets deciphered all the way through. It shows you the numbers and how they went through it. I think that's the coolest part about this whole thing. And then you can keep it traded or sell it, do whatever you want.
And it's so much more efficient to do this through Arena Club. Whether you're ripping a pack, there's the slab packs, buying a card, selling a card, grading a card. It's all there for you. We talk about it all season long. arenaclub.com/FOUL is where you can go to give it a shot. 20% off your first card purchase. arenaclub.com/FOUL. Use the code FOUL at checkout and get 20% off. Let's recap what we've seen so far in the first 2 games of the Dodgers and the Phillies in Philadelphia. That home field advantage, best home record in baseball this year. And if you listened to us on Foul Territory on Monday afternoon before the game, you would have thought, well, that actually doesn't mean shit. And it didn't. The Phillies lost both games. Kratz, you live in the area. They're booing the Duran entrance music, not at him. They're just pissed off that they are seeing this from their team and that they've lost 5 of their last 6 games at the bank. Bedlam at the bank is not a thing right now. The offense is not showing up for them. We can come up with all kinds of other excuses, but they're not putting up big numbers at home offensively against a very good pitching team. So what happened these first two games for Philadelphia? And let's also give credit to the Dodgers for playing a really good game.
Yeah, I was gonna say before we get too hard on the Phillies, the Dodgers did throw the absolute snot out of the ball, but I see exactly what I saw in parts of the season. It's a team that for some reason does not hit starting pitching very well. Yes, they can because they're a very power-packed lineup and they have a bunch of veteran hitters, but for some reason, together as a unit, don't consistently hit starting pitching very well. And you're running into the best starting pitching in the playoffs right now. Have they been the best all season? Absolutely not, because most of them haven't even been healthy all season. But Blake Snell, back-to-back outings. Last time he faced him during regular season, he had 12 punchies. Tonight, he was doing whatever he wanted. Luzardo was also doing whatever he wanted, but we're talking about the offense. The top of the order has to come through, and they found a little kink, they found a little opening, and they left the door open a crack, and the offense did exactly what they do. They beat up the bullpen. They didn't beat up Emmett Sheehan, not a bullpen guy, he's a starter, but as soon as they got to Trinan, as soon as they were allowed to face Trinan, they had him. They had him, and they had him on the ropes. They had Vesia on the ropes, and they weren't able to finish it out.
Did you like the bunt call there, KP, for Bryson Stott, and then the wheel play that just was executed perfectly for the Dodgers to get the out with the lead runner?
Yeah, you got to do whatever you can in that situation to get the guy to third base. Teams don't like practice the wheel play all that often. It would be. I heard Max Muncy talking about kind of the conversation that the three infielders were having about that. Then they made the pitching change, and Doc kind of okayed it, but it was kind of spearheaded from Mookie, who obviously just has an unbelievable baseball IQ, and the willingness to want to run that play. But I would love to know the last time they actually practiced that play. It had to have been in spring training. I doubt the three of those guys, the combination of those guys, had been out on a field at any point in time since spring training, running the wheel play, and they did it to perfection. So credit to them. I'm a big believer too, and no offense to a lot of pitchers though, but if I'm bunting there, I'm trying to put the ball in the hands of the pitcher as opposed to a fielder. But bunting is not easy. Bunting is one of the hardest things to do in baseball. Like at some point, you got to just kind of pat yourself on the back that you get a bunt down. But just a really well done play by the Dodgers.
Yeah, and Doc Roberts, the Dodgers manager, said they don't really do it. Mookie called for it. That's a shortstop, captain-ish kind of guy on the team, just making the right call at the right time when they had a little time to go over things. And the Dodgers pull off a win just enough. Yes, there was trouble for Trinan, but then he goes to Vesia, and then Doc, pulls the ultimate wild card in the postseason so far, pitching-wise. I don't think anybody 1 month ago, not like 6 or 3-4 months ago, whatever. I think 1 month ago, if I told most people that Roki Sasaki is going to be a nails closer for the Dodgers, you'd be like, huh? Who? I don't even remember him. What happened to him?
How about just saying if he was going to be on the roster or not? That would have already been a little bit of a stretch. Was he just going to, stay in AAA? Was he going to be like one of those guys that, go in that stay ready camp? But now this guy's got back-to-back saves in playoff games. It's crazy. It really is unbelievable. It's just, some organizations just, do things a little bit better. Like, maybe this was always a contingency plan that they saw in this guy, that we're going to give him an opportunity to start because, or maybe that was the way they felt like they could get him in the door. It's like, yeah, we'll allow you to start. And ultimately it didn't go so well. He had to go, through some injuries, kind of build himself back up. But maybe ultimately they knew all along this guy was going to be an elite closer.
Kratz, question for you about the star power for the Phillies, because of course that's the number one issue right now. And I understand that it's really good pitching coming at them. 2 for 21, 4 walks, 11 strikeouts for Trey Turner, Kyle Schwarber, and Bryce Harper. Are they seeing any pitches that they can do damage with, or even just move themselves into a good position to let somebody else do damage, right? Like I'm looking back for the Harper at bat where he had a big strikeout, and I think there was one pitch maybe that was in the strike zone, and there were no fastballs, and it was just really nicely executed on the pitching side. But like on give me the Harper perspective here. Does he need to? And he's got a great eye. Spit at those pitches and just pass the baton. What are you seeing here?
I mean, against Blake Snell, I don't feel like he chased out of the zone too bad. I think he chased one pitch out of the zone, but strike three was his swinging strike three was a slider that even when they slowed it down, if you've never faced Blake Snell or you've never caught Blake Snell, it is almost impossible to see that pitch because Harper does what Harper does in the playoffs. He does an incredible job of staying on pitches, and I'm like, I don't think he's not seeing that slider because everybody will remember what he did to Robert Suarez, that opposite field homer that created Bedlam at the bank. Like, that's how you hit that slider, and he's trying to do that, and he still couldn't do it. Maybe this is my homerism. Maybe I need to go back and watch more of this, but I really feel like besides the fastball in that Schwarber missed, I forget who was pitching, but it was a fastball in that he foul tipped. I don't feel like guys were really like they were giving him any chances to hit anything to do damage with. Like, it wasn't like, ooh, we had that one. They all look late, confused, and like searching for what is the next pitch.
That was eighth inning, by the way, with Sheehan against Schwarber, and that was 98 tipped into the glove to get him. That was when we had the long-ish delay with the pitch comm. I don't know if I believe that it wasn't working, but whatever. And Schwarber's just waiting, and then eventually they got him.
I thought they were going to go to Vesia. I thought it was going to be some kind of conspiracy thing there. Like, I thought, oh, hey, we're going to come out here, we're going to talk about it. Pitch comm because we want Vesia to face Harper. You got Schwarber clearly, but we're going to have Vesia face Harper. And it was like delay, and then you saw the bullpen, and Vesia, who's always looks like he's beamed up, is just throwing. And then they left him in there. Didn't take him out. So I think the pitch comm actually didn't work. And we're coming out with a new foul territory pitch comm, and it's going to solve all pitch comm problems. Just wait for it, okay?
KP, every game, man.
Hot take for you right now.
Okay.
I think we can make an argument that the Phillies lineup 1 to 9 is much better than the Blue Jays lineup and Brewers lineup. Would you agree? 1 through 9, more talented, more dangerous. I do believe, and I'm not there. This is just a hot take. I've never been in that clubhouse with Philly, but I've had the conversations with the Blue Jays, and you were obviously with the Milwaukee Brewers. I think those teams have a much better collective approach where I feel like the Phillies are so much more reliant on individual talent that they feel like at some point just the talent is going to take over, and they're good enough to not really like have this pass the baton mentality or, hey, we're going to eliminate this pitch, we're going to wear them out. Because these two teams that, don't hit a ton of home runs, that aren't filled 1 through 9 with, high octane offensive players are going out and scoring a ton of runs. So I think there's also this way that you play in the regular season that definitely changes when you get into the postseason. And I think those two teams have an advantage right now because I think they've been playing postseason baseball for the entirety of the season.
Yeah, is it that, KP, coupled with some guys that clearly are getting game planned and it's working, right? I mean, we can say, oh, they're running into maybe the best team in baseball and the Dodgers should have been a bye team, right? And not been facing the Phillies in this spot, whatever. You can try and make excuses. You were going to have to run through a team like this either way. And it's been some disappointing seasons for a Philly team that you're right. You look at on paper and you're like, this team should be better. But look at the numbers the last couple postseasons for Trey Turner, Kyle Schwarber. I mean, they're bad. And clearly pitchers have a game plan and it's working, right?
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
don't
it
want to
might not
put
work in the
you
regular
can't put all
season,
the
but it's working
blame.
in the playoffs.
You can't put all the blame on the Phillies hitters and their approach and their hitting coach and whatever it is. Sometimes you just got to give credit where credit's due, and like Kratz knows, like you're going to go into every individual game with game plans of how to get guys out, but that obviously is magnified so much more in the playoffs. You're always pitching to guys' weaknesses. It's just a matter if your pitchers can execute it, and it just seems like at this point the Dodgers have been able to execute their game plan against the middle of the order, or actually the entirety of the order of the Phillies. And sometimes, like I said, it's not so much about what we are doing, and sometimes you just have to tip your cap and just say, like, they've just been better than us. And you hope in game 3, I don't know who's due to start in game 3 for the Dodgers, but you just hope that there's just a couple more mistakes where these guys could capitalize on.
Dude, Yamamoto, game 3, going up against Aaron Nola, who looked better lately, but he's had a really rough season, and Ranger Suarez is going to back him up. So things definitely do not look promising when it's Yamamoto game 3. This is the gauntlet they have to go through right now, Kratz, and you tell me if there's any freaking sliver of a chance for them. They have to go through Yamamoto, then they have to take down Tyler Glasnow, and then they will face Shohei Ohtani in game 5, and I get it. I mean, if you get to a game 5 against Ohtani and you've got your big boy in Sanchez back on the mound, sure, you've got a chance. But do you think they can take them down in 3 in a row?
I think they can, because those guys haven't been hot. You can never tell me, and I guess I'll be wrong if it just continues this way for the rest of history. But there's not a playoff. A player doesn't become worse in the playoffs. You don't turn into a pumpkin. To me, you're going to have to regress back to what they do. Kyle Schwarber has had some massive home runs in the playoffs. He can carry a team for a 3 to 7 game stretch. Bryce Harper has been, I think he still has over 1,000 OPS in the playoffs. He can get hot. Are they up against it right now? Absolutely, they're up against it. But this lineup has the ability to do it. Look, Nick Castellanos was one of their best hitters. He had a massive hit tonight. When you have veterans in there and your back's against the wall, there's not a panic. Maybe now that's the little spark that they need. Maybe Schwarber finds something in the off day, swinging off the breaking ball machine. Maybe they get, they have the guys to do it. Do they have a sliver of hope? I think it's more than a sliver of hope. Do they have to change what they've been doing? Yeah, somebody has to step up and get a big hit.
Yeah, it's tough to see it for me, KP, with the way that the Dodgers have this pitching rolling right now. The offense is in a pretty good spot against a really good Philadelphia pitching staff, by the way. I mean, Christopher Sanchez is going to finish second in NL Cy Young. Jesus Luzardo, for most of the game, put on a show tonight. But even for the Dodgers, I mean, they're not perfect defensively. Teoscar Hernandez is a roller coaster ride, but I want to make sure at the finish line here we shout out Freddie Freeman, who made a sick pick. Otherwise, that game's still rolling.
Yeah, I mean, to Kratz's point, I definitely like the Phillies' chances a lot more than I like the Cubs' chances, because, like you said, these guys don't turn into pumpkins in the playoffs. Like, if this was their first time going through the playoffs, because the playoffs can be overwhelming. Like the moment gets bigger, the anxiety goes through the roof. You're not getting a chance to necessarily game plan against a starter who's going to go. You're going to see him a third time, maybe not even a second time. But these guys have a track record of being very successful hitters in the postseason. Like you mentioned, the Dodgers pitching staff is just rolling right now. I think this is nothing that we didn't expect to happen for the Dodgers. I think we knew inevitably, if everyone was healthy, once they got into the postseason, this is kind of what you expected to see from the Dodgers. But I wouldn't count them out because of what Kratz said. Like, they just have too much talent, and they have too many guys that individually can just put a team on their back.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with that. I think the Phillies do have a better chance. I don't see it for either side. Yeah, I could see the Phillies taking a game. Maybe they crack Yamamoto, but what do you got?
And Scott, you said the Dodgers offense is rolling. They've scored in 2 innings. Yeah. For a Dodgers offense that is awesome, the Phillies starting rotation and pretty much 8 of the 9 innings, I don't feel like the Dodgers offense is like rolling. But the Dodgers have done the same thing. They kind of struggled sometimes against starters. Same thing as the Phillies. And then the bullpen comes in and there's a guy, they're like, no, yes, we got something on him. Yes, we see him well. Yes, this is our guy. And both games, they scored all their runs in the 7th inning. 9 runs in the 7th inning.
You said the quiet thing out loud. That's what I was thinking when I was hearing that. Like, both these teams typically have trouble hitting starting pitching, but there's guys in the bullpen they get to. Does that make you believe that they may have things on the bullpen guys that they can't get on starters?
Maybe. Or they're able to eliminate pitches. I mean, to me, that's better than any tell. Like if you're like, all right, this guy's a 2-pitch guy. He never throws his breaking ball for a strike or anything in. I think the Dodgers do a great job of eliminating zones. Mm-hmm. Starting pitchers are good at all 4 quadrants. When a Matt Strahm comes in, he's probably only going to run that slider in off. Say, guys, hey, when anything starts in, we're taking it. And this is what KP's talking about, good team at bats. You strike out looking at a fastball in against Strahm. If that's their game plan, then you know what? We tip our cap. We move on. And then when he makes a mistake, anything out over, we're smashing it. We're on time for it, whatever it is.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. Typically, starters have a much, bigger arsenal of pitches, be able to use the entirety of the plate. And when you do get to those bullpen guys, even if they have a third pitch, like you are going to eliminate one, you're going to turn them into a 2-pitch guy, but ultimately you're going to turn them to a one side of the plate guy. So I think there's some truth to that, more so than getting into this kind of going down this rabbit hole of always thinking that, a pitcher gives up runs or, gives up a home run, he's tipping. I think it could come down to just, game planning too.
And the bugaboo for the Dodgers still is there. I mean, their traditional relievers right now are not in a good spot. This is nothing like what they imagined. They thought, Kirby Yates and Tanner Scott and Trinan, right? And Trinan was the problem child in this particular game. I mean, the highlights for them are Glasnow out of the bullpen, Sheehan in this game out of the bullpen, former starting rookie Sasaki. I mean, they're throwing starters out of the bullpen to try and win games, and that has worked for some teams in the past. So I'll give them credit. And then last shout out for me, of course, Doc Roberts, who's super, super battle tested, gets to push the Will Smith button in the 7th inning where he would never be up in that spot. And you have like a top 3 hitting catcher in baseball who gets to step in with the first pitch line drive 2-run single. And that made it 3-0. So props to this team. They've got a lot of talent. They're in a really good spot. If you've got thoughts on this series, then drop them in the comments. Let us know. We'll talk about it more on Foul Territory throughout the week. Thank you so much for watching. And we have FT still every day, 1:00 Eastern time. We have plenty of post-game shows that we'll do. We'll get KP on something Blue Jays related, or you can catch him on Blue Jays coverage too. We did a little interview with him earlier on Foul Territory on Monday, so check that out. KP, thanks for joining us for this little late night game.
I much prefer the earlier slot. This is a little tough on me, but you know what? It was worth staying up to see, Kratz's sleepy eyes too.
You did it, KP. It's a good rite of passage here just for the playoffs. And Kratz, you're a legend. We'll see you in a little bit. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you soon.